Hi, it's Katrina. From mysterious heads in the jungle to undeciphered texts, here are 10 rare and unusual artifacts from around the world. Number 10. Olmec Colossal Heads. A series of 17 stone heads located on Mexico's Gulf Coast constitute some of the most mysterious known artifacts in the world. Although they are known as the Olmec Colossal Heads, it's not known for sure whether these massive monuments were truly created by the Olmecs. The Olmecs are considered one of the oldest Mesoamerican cultures, but we don't even know what they called themselves. Dating back from 1200 BC to 400 BC, there are few remnants of the Olmec people left behind. The lack of archaeological evidence of their ethnic origin and their settlements makes it hard to know more about them. The Aztecs called them the Olmecs, or the rubber people, and all of the religious rituals of sacrifice, offerings, ball courts, and pyramids were passed on from the Olmecs to subsequent civilizations in Mesoamerica, including the Aztecs and the Maya. The heads are found in two important Olmec centers, San Lorenzo and La Venta. Each was transported at least 62 miles from the Tuxtla Mountains, where its stone was sourced, to its final destination after being carved from a single basalt boulder using handheld stone tools. Researchers believe that the statues, which measure up to 9.8 feet high and 14.7 feet in circumference, were once painted bright colors. The heads are incredibly detailed, with naturalistic facial features and expressions that seem to depict specific individuals. Their physiognomy or facial structure have caused some scholars to theorize that they resemble early African migrants that we don't yet know about, but this theory is heavily disputed, as other experts point out that the heads possess characteristics that can be observed in some modern-day residents of the region, pointing toward Olmec origins. Number 9. Animal armor. Horses have helped humans on the battlefield for over 5,000 years. From ridden warfare to pulling chariots, war horses were a powerful and important part of military strategy, and they needed protection accordingly. The first known horse armor dates back to 2600 BC in the Mesopotamian city of where donkeys were found with chest defenses. Over the next 2 millennia, the protective wear was developed for chariot horses in the Near East and Egypt. Similar to human armor, it was made from the same materials such as metal and leather with decorative techniques. Horse armor was special and rare, used for the elite cavalry. European horse armor first emerged during the 8th and 7th centuries BC, when the Greeks adopted the idea from their enemies, the Persians, who learned from the Assyrians. In southern Italy and Sicily, head defenses and breastplates were found as early as the 4th century BC, but it declined along with the decline of the Roman Empire, and did not appear in Western Europe again until the 12th century AD. Just like the mounted warrior, the horse wore mail armor with padded and quilted garments underneath. Caparisons, large textile coverings for the entire horse, also appeared during the late 12th century. Chain armor was most common during this medieval period. Horse armor was used less often than human armor and was typically reserved for elite heavy cavalry and for battle. During the early 15th century, chain armor fell largely out of use and was replaced with the plate armor that most people probably think of when they picture an armored horse. But it wasn't just horses that wore armor for protection. In other parts of the world, like India, it was the war elephant that reigned supreme. To protect them during their charge, huge and elaborate sets of armor were built for them, with the largest one found located in the Oriental Gallery at the Royal Armouries National Museum of Arms and Armor in Leeds. The metal suit was designed for an adult Asian elephant in the 16th century. Part of the suit is missing, but it would have had 8,439 metal plates and weighed over 350 pounds. Along with this armor, the elephant would have worn tusk swords, sometimes covered with poison, which would have helped them slash through enemy lines, making them more lethal. Other animals that were valued were given expensive armor in order to help them last longer in a fight. Dogs may have even had armor at one point, and an artist has taken that idea even further, making armor for cats and rats. I'm sure you can agree that this image of cat armor is pretty neat, especially if you're a cat lover. The armor is part of a collection owned by Ripley's Believe It or Not, which also contains elephant, dog, and horse armor. And while the cat armor is an example of modern artwork created by Canadian artist Jeff DeBurr, animal armor does have a rightful place in history. Would you get armor for your pet? Let me know in the comments below. And now for number 8. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Brandon Cuniff and Edward Averill III. Thanks so much for your support. If you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us before you go. Number 8. Witch bottles. Throughout England and in parts of the US, archaeologists have discovered something called witch bottles, which are small vessels filled with various materials materials including nails and personal items that are thought to ward off evil spirits. Witch bottles appeared to be most popular during the 17th century, but were created long after that, as evidenced by a blue glass bottle filled with nails that was discovered in a Civil War-era layer of clay in Virginia in 2016. Joe Jones, director at the William and Mary Center for Archaeological Research in Virginia, explained, putting the nails and the personal effects in a bottle next to a fireplace, the heat of the fire heats up the iron in the nails, and in some way that entraps the evil spirits. Witch bottles are much more commonly discovered throughout England than in the US. In late 2019, a group of workers demolishing a chimney in Watford found a 19th century witch bottle filled with fish hooks, human teeth, glass shards, and a mystery liquid. It's just one of the more than 100 such artifacts that have been found throughout Great Britain, with some dating back to the 1600s, when the country was undergoing a type of mass hysteria about witchcraft. The items found inside witch bottles vary, but typically include things like pins, nails, thorns, fingernail and hair clippings, and urine. Number 7. Voynich Manuscript. Perhaps best described as a yet unsolved, centuries-old puzzle, as well as the world's most mysterious book, the Voynich Manuscript is a 15th century codex written in an unknown language that has not been detected among any other known artifacts. Its author is also a mystery, adding to the book's already perplexing nature. The Voynich Manuscript, which is written on parchment dating back to the 15th century, has been discovered and rediscovered several times throughout history. The most recent such rediscovery was in 1912, when a rare book stealer, Wilfred Voynich, came across the strange artifact, hence its current name. It has also appeared in the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II's personal library, and in 1903, it was involved in a secret book sale by the Society of Jesus in Rome, according to Yale's Bennick Rare Book and Manuscript Library, which sells copies of the book for those who are curious or who even want to try deciphering it. A history researcher named Nicholas Gibbs claimed to have cracked the code, but experts say his analysis is not accurate at all. Besides containing a bizarre language that eludes even the experts, the Voynich Manuscript is filled with elaborate artwork depicting strange plants, naked women, zodiac symbols, and unknown constellations, among other unexplained things. The ongoing theory is that it was some sort of medical treatise on women's health. Number 6. Maine Penny. Out-of-place artifacts, or OOPArts for short, are artifacts that do not match either the date and/or place that they are associated with. While many OOPArts appear to be nothing more than the product of over-imaginative conspiracy theorists, there are also scientifically credible artifacts that still baffle the experts. One of them is the Maine Penny, a Viking penny that an amateur archaeologist named Guy Melgren found along the Maine coast in 1957. The Maine Penny, which the Smithsonian Institute describes as the only pre-Columbian Norse artifact ever found in the United States, flies directly in the face of the theory that Columbus's fleet of ships carried the first Europeans to ever reach North America. This suggests that the Vikings beat them to it, and thereby challenges the long-held historical narrative about who arrived first in the New World. In recent decades, it became pretty commonly accepted knowledge that the Vikings were in fact the first Europeans to reach North America, as evidenced by settlement ruins discovered in Newfoundland, Canada. To date, however, the Maine Penny is the only Viking artifact ever found southwest of Newfoundland, leaving yet unanswered questions about how it got there and if the Vikings themselves ever visited Maine. One possibility is that the penny was traded between Vikings and First Nations tribes and reached Maine through subsequent trading between First Nations and Native American tribes. This theory is supported by the discovery of around 30,000 native artifacts at the same site where the penny was found. Number 5. Wedge of Ivar. Like the Maine Penny, the Wedge of Ivar is also an out-of-place artifact, or OOPArt. However, its authenticity is far more heavily disputed by the scientific community. Discovered in Aiud, Romania in 1974, the artifact is a 4 to 5 pound aluminum wedge supposedly dating back 11,000 years, long before aluminum was discovered. Some construction workers allegedly found the wedge buried under 35 feet of sand, alongside 2 mastodon bones. An unknown donor gifted the item to the Museum of History of Transylvania, where it sat unacknowledged in a storage room until 1995, when editors from a UFO magazine conveniently rediscovered it. It's never been explained why UFO enthusiasts were granted access to the storage room of a history museum, but hey, why not? The wedge's purported age, ranging between 11,000 and several million years, is based on it being discovered with the pair of mastodon bones, rather than any reliable scientific dating methods. Metallic aluminum did not exist until 1825, causing many people to dive headfirst into theories about the wedge being of alien origins. One popular speculation among ufologists is that it's a piece of landing gear from an ancient spacecraft. Others believe that a time traveler left the wedge behind during a hasty departure to escape a mastodon attack. Much to the dismay of conspiracy conspiracy theorists, the wedge is most likely a tooth shed from an excavator, and is indeed very modern in origin. It appears aged because it's made of a type of aluminum that oxidizes rapidly, but there's little doubt among experts that the wedge is anything but ancient, and probably fell off a construction machine during previous digging. All that hype just to learn that what some people insist is a prehistoric alien artifact is most likely an ordinary, everyday object. That's kind of disappointing. Maybe next time. Number 4. Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone. Another hotly debated oopart is the Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone, an egg-shaped quartzite stone containing a series of carved symbols, which was discovered in 1872 in Meredith, New Hampshire, by workers digging a fence post. The object in question, which contains a hole going through the middle from top to bottom, measures roughly 4 inches long and 2.5 inches thick, and is covered in various carved symbols, including an ear of corn, inverted arrows, a moon, dots, spirals, and other shapes. Little is known about the mystery stone, which remained in the possession of businessman Seneca Ladd, who owned the land it was discovered on until his death in 1892. From there, it was passed on to one of his daughters, Frances Ladd Coe, who donated the object to the New Hampshire Historical Society in 1927, where it remains on display to this day. One controversial theory among experts is that the stone signified a peace treaty between warring tribes. Another, more far-flung proposition is that the mystery stone is a thunderstone, an object that seemingly fell from the sky, with no logical or valid explanation for its origins. A borescope analysis in 1994 indicated that the stone had been drilled through using 19th or 20th century tools, a finding that runs contrary to any theories about the artifact being rooted among prehistoric Native Americans. Number 3. The Calixtlahuaca Head. Discovered by archaeologist Jose Garcia Pellon in 1933, the Tecaxi Calixtlahuaca Head is a terracotta head featuring alleged Roman features that was found oddly out of place in Mexico's Toluca Valley, roughly 40 miles northwest of Mexico City. The object, besides being hard to pronounce, was a grave offering found inside of a pyramid beneath 3 intact floors. It was discovered alongside an array of other, less out-of-place artifacts, including gold, copper, and turquoise objects, as well as items made from rock crystal, bone, and shell, including pottery. Due to its seemingly Roman characteristics, some have speculated that the Calixtlahuaca head is a sign of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact between the ancient Romans and people of the Americas. Pellon, the archaeologist who discovered the head, did not make mention of the finding in his published works until 1960. The artifact's age is largely disputed among experts. While some claim that it may date back as far as 9th century BC Rome, others put its age at a far more realistic 1476 to 1510 AD. There are also several heavily contested theories explaining the Calixtlahuaca head's possible origins. One contends that it's simply a hoax, and that one of Pellon's colleagues placed it at the site as a sort of practical joke against the archaeologist. Another possibility is that one of the earliest Europeans to arrive in central Mexico brought it along with them, even if the object is unusually old for the things one would expect European conquerors to be carrying along with them on a transatlantic voyage. One theory that has gained considerable support is that the head was traded throughout Asia following its manufacture in ancient Rome, and made its way to the Americas via a Chinese or Indian trading ship via a trans-Pacific route. Which of these theories do you like the most? Let me know in the comments below. If it's a practical joke, that would be sick. But nobody truly knows where the head comes from or how it reached the site where it was found. Number 2. Fetter Lane Hoard. It's no secret that the vast Roman Empire reached England, so it's also no surprise that an ancient Roman coin occasionally appears in archaeological digs. But in 1908, a group of workers found an entire hoard of 46 such coins in a pot while digging foundations for a house in Fetter Lane. And it is indeed unusual to find Roman coins in quantities this large anywhere in England. The coins, which date back between 58 and 284 AD, were minted in Alexandria, Egypt, and had little to no value outside their region of manufacture, begging the obvious question of what they were doing in England, and in such a large quantity. They were made as part of a locally based Eastern Mediterranean currency system and were not part of Rome's official denomination system. By the time the coins reached expert hands for analysis, the pot they were found in had vanished, further complicating the mystery. And while there is a general story about how they were discovered, the tale is vague and specific details are missing. Experts are still trying to determine why coins that were essentially useless in Roman-era Britain somehow made their way there. One tempting yet unproven theory is that they were imported in more recent times by a coin collector and were not brought here during Roman times. Number 1. London hammer. Discovered in 1936 in London, Texas, the London hammer is an iron and wood artifact that was found embedded in a 400-million-year-old rock concretion. While the object dates back somewhere between 700 years and modern times based on inconclusive carbon dating methods, how it ended up inside such an old rock formation remains a mystery. A Texas man named Max Hahn allegedly discovered the hammer while out on a walk with his secret lover, during which they noticed some loose rock and pulled a chunk of rock from it. They took the chunk of rock home, where it sat for another decade until the couple's son, Max, broke the rock open and found the hammer within. Archaeologists remain skeptical to this day about the discovery, especially since it supposedly went unnoticed for so many years before Hahn realized that he had the artifact in his possession. Christian theorists suggest that the hammer is a pre-flood artifact that was used by a society that lived among the dinosaurs. Other experts contend that the hammer is consistent with 19th century tools that were used in the area. Today, the object is on display at the Creation Evidence Museum in Texas, perhaps indicating a dismissive conclusion among the scientific community. Thanks for watching! Do you have any answers to these mysteries? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up to let me know you want to see more videos like these. See you next time! Bye!